Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Solopreneur Success Systems Podcast. Within this podcast, it's another two-part podcast. So you're going to be getting a little bit about what I'm going to be doing, and then I'm going to announce a live webinar. And if you are listening to this in the future, I will include the replay of the webinar for you to download as well within the show notes. So if you go into the show notes, you'll be able to register for the webinar. And then if you would like to go into the show notes and it's after the webinar, that's totally fine. We can go in and create, and you can watch the replay. So what the title of this webinar is the Q3 Momentum webinar. And we're going to talk all about how to plan for your biggest months yet halfway through the year with half the time to work. And what I have seen is that for so many people, the reason why I'm doing this webinar is first and foremost, I want to make more nurture webinars where I'm just giving you guys more value, more things so that you can understand my process, but also just things to support you for free throughout the year. And I'll probably be doing these on months that I'm not launching. So expect more of these in the future. I love to just teach as a former teacher. So this is a great way for me to tell you all more about what I do and also to give you support, even if you're not a part of my programs. And I also think that what I've seen is traditionally the middle of the year is the most challenging year for so many of my clients. A lot of my clients are parents. They are traveling over the summer months. They might be experiencing a slip in sales. And the other thing that I have heard from many of my clients is they feel like at the halfway point through the year, they might have started out the year with a goal in January, and now they're questioning, can I actually still reach this goal? Is this still possible? Do I need to change my goal? And all of those are really great, important questions. And we want to make sure that you keep up momentum in the middle of the year. So that's why I'm doing this webinar, and I'm doing this podcast as kind of a promo to announce it. And if you want to for free in the show notes, you can either download and come live or you can get the replay. So if you are listening to this episode live, I'm going to be doing this webinar on the 21st of July at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can come and you can get the tools. I might even include a little worksheet in there. I haven't decided just yet, but it is going to be jam-packed with value. And again, if you are going to be watching this and listening to this replay, it's going to be something that you don't want to miss. Even if this isn't, you're listening to this episode and it's not in the middle of the year, I think the things that I'm going to be talking to you are going to be very, very relevant. So let me just tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing. And I actually pulled up some notes for you guys so I can walk you through the way that this webinar is going to work, just so you can know what you'd be signing up for. So a lot of times within my business, I have felt the shift of the summer. And the other thing that happens within the summertime, there are things that are expected and then there are things that are unexpected. So you might even expect for your kids to come home. You might expect for travel, but there might be some unexpected things. For instance, I got COVID this summer. I also within this year, I knew that I was going to go through IVF, which is a big medical procedure. We are electing to do this even before my amazing fiance Rob and I get married because I have endometriosis and I feel no shame in that game in sharing that with you. But I thought that my surgery would be on Monday the 7th, and it's pushing it back all the way, potentially a full week. So there's lots of things that happen that are expected and that are unexpected within the summer months. And if you are listening to this at any time in the year, whether or not you've got expected or unexpected things happening, this is going to be a great way to refocus you back on your goals and stay focused. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is why the summer struggle happens. There are so many things that go on. And a lot of times people make the misconception that if they have less time, they're going to make less money. And I'm going to debunk all of that because it is not true that the amount of time that you put in, especially as an entrepreneur, that you will make the equitable amount of money. It's a huge habit that we have to break because many of us prior to our businesses were employees. We have this mindset of I am working for somebody else. I show up either hourly, salary, and I get paid based on the time it takes me versus as an entrepreneur, we have to completely shift the thought that time equals money. And you need to understand that creating value creates money. So we'll talk about how to create more value in half the time by focusing on really succinct pieces of your business that are the return on investment, the ROI generators. So we'll talk about how you can go into your business. You can go in and check what things have worked for your business. We'll talk about how to evaluate that. And then I'm also going to walk you through a framework of going through your actual numbers. I know numbers can feel really scary. It's something that I a lot of the time will put off. It is something that now I do with my virtual assistant who is amazing. We will go through my numbers together every Monday when we have our meeting. And it's just, if you think about going and getting a physical every year, we want to make sure that you are going and getting a physical for your business as much as possible, especially if you're in the pre six figures range. We need to have a temperature check on your business. We need to know what's going on in your business. We need to know what's working and what you need to do differently as quickly as possible. And the way that we do that is through your numbers. We need to see how much money you've made. We need to talk about if there is a gap for the income that you were expecting. We also want to calculate how much more money you need to make. Because if you are listening to this podcast and you do not have a goal for this month, if you do not have a goal for this week, if you do not have a goal for the rest of this year, that needs to change. Because within your business, if we understand that the intention behind if you're just posting without a goal, then that means that you're posting without the intention of even signing a client. It's a very quick shift that even as you're listening to this podcast, I want you to shift and think about, okay, from this next post, somebody will book a consult. And I want somebody to book a consult this week. I'm looking at my calendar and I've got time for that this week. All of those things are really critical and important pieces of your business that need to be focused on this year. We also want to know your conversion rate. That just means, and again, pre-business, I was a teacher, so I didn't know what any of this stuff meant. And a conversion rate just means how many consults have you gotten? How many clients have converted? If you've done 10 consults and signed 2 clients, that means you've got a 20% conversion rate. So if you want to sign 2 more clients, we need 10 to 20 more consults. We just want to know those numbers so that then you can plan things accordingly. And if you want to sign 2 clients and you have a 20% conversion rate, if we want to get 10 consults in, we need 2 to 3 consults a week in order for you to hit those goals. And it just gives you a better metric to stay focused on. So that is my recommendation. And if you do that calculation and there are feelings that come up, then we can work on that and create a plan and create strategy around how to actually hit your numbers before the end of the year. And my goal is that we don't necessarily change your goal. We change your relationship to goal setting, and we also change your strategy. If what you've done for the first half of the year hasn't worked yet, we can't just keep doing the same thing that's not working and expecting the same result. I think it's like the definition of madness is like doing the same thing, expecting something different. We've got to make sure that you know what's working, why it's working, keep doing it. And then we also need to know what things aren't working and how to look at it through a really strategic lens that you can fix. So that's what we'll do first is we're going to look at the numbers, and I'll teach you a very simple formula just to like go through and look at your numbers, something that you can do in like 15 minutes, maybe not even, just to get an idea of, okay, here's where my business is at. Here's where I want to go. How do I bridge that? Where I am now, where do I want to go for my business? So that's what we're going to do. Then I'm going to talk about the ROI activities. And you want to think about ROI, return on investment activities, as something that you get a lot of bang for your buck to make things plain and simple. These are tasks that is requiring a minimum amount of effort to get a maximum result. So the minimum of, and I call them effective tasks in this webinar, but I'll be talking about where you're putting your energy, how is that coming out, and then I'm also going to talk about how to create a schedule, because a lot of people the summer I feel like goes from June to kind of the end of August, even to the beginning of September with Labor Day. So if that is the case for you, us continuing the plan that you've used for all of Q1 is not going to fit into Q2 and 3. You need to, the reason why I'm calling this like the Q3 what am I calling this? I'm calling it something really good. The Q3 momentum. The reason why I'm talking about creating momentum is we can lose momentum when things change. So we'll talk about how to avoid that. And then I'm going to talk about designing a new calendar for flexibility. So even if you've gone through the month of June and you're like, wow, that was a bit of a mess. This was not ideal. We've got to figure out what to change for the rest of July and August, all the way through September, and that you can come back to next summer too. So it doesn't have to be something that you're just now understanding. It can be something that you can use for the future, which is why even if you're not listening to this webinar during the summer, still a helpful thing to create. I'm also going to be talking you through clients who have done this. I'm going to talk you through mistakes that I see people doing throughout the summer. And then I'm going to open up, if you're listening to this live, I will open up the bonuses for joining marketing systems so you can get continued support throughout the rest of the year. I'm going to include the money back fast action bonus, which is a separate portal that teaches you 3 different action plays that you can put into play to make your money back for the $1,500 investment within the first month that you're in the program. That's my goal, is that you start making money. Literally month 1, you make your whole investment back, and the rest of the 11 months, you're literally just going in and doubling down on that investment. And then, or 10 times in your investment would be my goal, is that from a $1,500 investment, you make 15K. And then the next goal I have for you is that you are also going to get the basics of systems. So if you join marketing systems right after this webinar, I'm going to have the bonus live, and it's going to be like a 48-hour bonus. So between the 21st, which is a Monday at 8 p.m., all the way to the 23rd at 8 p.m., at midnight, I'll just include it till midnight, I'm going to give you guys access to these bonuses. So the first bonus is the money back fast action bonus, where you're going to learn 3 different plays that you can use to make money back and amplify that instantly. And then the next thing that we're going to do is, if you pay in full, this is always true. So at least at this point, if you pay in full for marketing systems, the full $1,500 investment, instead of doing the payment plan of $167 a month, you are going to get the 5-figure system startup pack, which just gives you a basic intro into systems. I'm going to talk you through how to track your finances in a more specific way weekly. I'm also going to talk you through how to track your leads in a more efficient way. And we'll talk about how to even create the setup so that you're not just growing to 10K, you're starting to make 10K every quarter, every 2 months, every month, which would actually lead up to a full 120K a year. But then you have the basics of the systems that can help you get there. So that is what's happening on the Monday. I almost said August, July 21st at 8 p.m. If you come live to the Q3 Momentum webinar, or if you watch the replay, you are going to be able to get these bonuses until the 23rd of July. So that is the bonus window. The 2 bonuses, again, are the money back fast action bonus, which teaches you 3 different ways that you can make your money back in the first month. And then you can also get the 5-figure system startup pack, which teaches you how to track and plan like a 5-figure to 6-figure CEO. And if you want to come to that workshop, we're going to be talking all about how to summer-proof your business, how to create an action plan for the second half of the year, and how to ensure that you create a business that matches your life instead of a life that matches your business. So these are all the things that are happening. I hope if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And for those of you who are coming, I cannot wait to see you at the Q3 Momentum webinar.